Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Della Noviska, student of State Islamic University of Sultan Syarif Qasim Riau, majoring in English Education Department. So in this golden occasion, I would like to show you about my thesis under the title An Analysis of Students' Learning Style in Learning English at 10th Grade Senior High School 1 Sungai Penuh. First, we go to the background of the problem. So, curriculum 2013 was applicable curriculum in Indonesian education system. Senior High School 1 Sungai Penuh used this curriculum, in which the minimum criteria of mastery learning are recalled with KKM are 70 for class 10 and 75 for classes 11 and 12. And then, based on researcher preliminary observation at Senior High School 1 Sungai Penuh, not all students pass the minimum criteria of mastery learning on English subject. There are 53% of the 10th grade participants whose score haven't not faced the KKM, and there are 47% of participants faced the KKM. And then in a class there were only 4 students who scored first the KKM. Other than that, there are 32 students who are still far below the minimum criteria of mastery learning. Besides, the teacher used the same teaching strategy in teaching students on 10th grade. For instance, the teacher used the games to teach the student. As the result obtained by the researcher when interviewing the student, one student said she preferred if she was taught to something visual. He said that understood more if the lesson material was interactively displayed to a projector in front of the class. Meanwhile, other students said that they understood more if the teacher explained the lesson directly, like there is a discussion and question answer section after the lesson was explained by the teacher. Next, we go to the limitation of the problem. There are 2 limitations of the problem that researchers focus on. One is an analysis of student learning style in learning English at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. 2. The most dominant learning style used by the student at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. Next, the formulation of the problem. First, what are the students' learning style and learning English at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. Second, what is the most dominant learning style at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. Next, we come to the objective of the research. First, to analyze students' learning style and learning English at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. Second is to know the most dominant learning style used by the student at 10th grade senior high school 1 Sungai Penuh. Next, we come to the chapter 2. There are theoretical framework. There are 4 aspects that show by the researcher. One is about learning, 2 is about English learning, 3 about English learning style, and 4 is about types of learning style. And then in this occasion, the researcher will use the type of learning style by Neil Fleming, 2006. Next, we go to the relevant research. There are 3 relevant research. First is come from Isnaini Wahab and Nuraini. Second is come from Irma Dewi Isda, Purwati, Baihaki, and Nura Malim. The third is from Abbas Borhosin, Gilakjani. Next, it's about conceptual framework. There are an analysis of student learning style in English at 10th grade senior high school. Then students' learning style consists about visual learner, auditory learner, read-write learner, and kinesthetic learners. Then next is about research design. This research conducted by using qualitative research, and then the researcher used descriptive qualitative approach in this research. Then time and location. The researcher took place at Senior High School in Sungai Penuh, which is located at Jalan Arif Rahman Hakim, Kota Sungai Penuh, Jambi Province. This research conducted on January to February 2022. Next, we go to subject and object. The subject of this research was the 10th grade senior high school in Sungai Penuh, and then for the object of this research were students' learning style in learning English and the most dominant learning style used by the students at 10th grade senior high school in Sungai Penuh. Next, the participant of the research. So the total participant of the research, there are 180. For the sample, the researcher used for purposive sampling and will take 50% of the total population. The total participants saw that the total of sample are 27 samples. And then data collection, the researcher used two ways to collect the data. One is observation, and the second is with interview. Data analysis. The researcher used the model of Miles and Huberman. Their data reduction, data display, and conclusion drawing or verification for answer the first question. Besides the formulation used by the researcher for answer the second question. So we go to the chapter 4. It's about findings. So the students' learning style in learning English at 10th grade senior high school 1. First, there were 7 students whose learning style are visual. They explained that they were comfortable, alike, and easy to understand the lesson if the teacher explained the lesson by using animation videos, PowerPoint, and interactive feature. Second, there were 2 students from the class who explained that their learning style are auditory. They admitted that it was easy to understand the lesson when the teacher explained the lesson to them directly. By listening, they found it easier to understand the lesson. And then the third, there were 3 students whose learning style are reading and writing. They said that reading and writing made it easier for them to remember and understand the lesson delivered by the teacher. 4, there were 15 students who explained that their learning style are kinesthetic, which they like to practice or play, perform, do activities to make them active in the class. Admittedly, it's easier to understand if explain and then continue with the practice. And then the second findings is about the dominant learning style used at the 10th grade senior high school 1. So as you can see in the table, so from that we can know that the most dominant learning style used is kinesthetic. It's about 55%. So the conclusion, there were 4 types of learning style that have been found by the researcher in this research at 10th grade senior high school in Sungai Penuh, such as visual, auditory, read-write, and kinesthetic. Visual are identical with learning by relying on what they see. Auditory learners learn faster by relying on their hearing. Read-write learners are easier to understand with writing researches, and the kinesthetic learner easily understand learning by doing practice. Second, the researcher found that the most dominant learning style at 10th grade senior high school one Sungai Penuh is kinesthetic. So that's all from the researcher presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.